Purification in Islam Part 3. The major ritual impurity and the full ablution, ghusl ritual bath. Things which require a person to perform full ablution. There are certain things which require an adult Muslim to perform full ablution, ghusl, before engaging in the prayer or circumambulating the Kaaba. Before he performs such ablution, he is said to be in a state of a major ritual impurity. These things are as follows. To perform the full ablution, the entire body must be washed with water. 1. Ejaculation with pleasure and by any means, while asleep or awake. Ejaculation involves the expulsion of seminal fluid, a thick whitish fluid, from the urethra of the penis during orgasm, which is generally followed by a feeling of lethargy and inertia. 2. Sexual intercourse. This involves penetration even if it does not lead to ejaculation. In fact, mere penetration of the glands into the vagina provides sufficient grounds for performing ghusl, i.e. taking a ritual bath. The Quran says, if you are in a state of major impurity, then purify yourselves. Surat Al-Ma'idah, 5-6. 3. Menstrual blood and postnatal bleeding. Menstrual blood is a natural type of blood, which flows from the uterus of women and occurs at roughly monthly intervals during a woman's reproductive years. It usually lasts more or less 7 days with some variation from one woman to another. Postnatal bleeding. This bleeding takes place following a delivery in the postnatal period and lasts for a number of days. Menstruating women and women experiencing their postnatal bleeding are exempt from fasting as well as from performing the prayers. They must, however, make up for their missed fasts but not for the missed prayers. During this period, a husband and wife can satisfy their sexual desire but without having an intercourse. At the end of menstruation and postnatal bleeding, women must take a ritual bath, ghusl. As the Quran states, they will ask you about menstruation. Say, it is an impurity, so keep apart from women during menstruation and do not approach them until they have purified themselves. But once they have purified themselves, then go to them in the way that Allah has enjoined on you. Surat Al-Baqarah 2-222. How to remove the major ritual impurity, janabah? To perform the full ablution, it would be sufficient for a Muslim to wash the entire body with water with the intention that it is for the purpose of purity and worship. However, the best method of taking a ritual bath is to wash oneself in the same way one cleans oneself after answering nature's call, perform wudu and then wash the entire body with water. Doing so increases one's rewards, as it is in accordance with the guidance of the Prophet. After taking a ritual bath that way, there is no need to perform wudu along with it. However, the best method of removing the major ritual impurity is to perform the full ablution, which includes wudu, for this was the very practice of the Prophet. Wiping over the socks. Islam is so practical that it allows a Muslim to wipe over the top of his socks or shoes with wet hands, but not over the soles, instead of washing his feet when renewing his wudu on condition that he has put them on after having performed wudu. He can continue doing so for a period not exceeding 24 hours for a resident and 72 hours for a traveler. The feet must, however, be washed when performing a ritual bath to remove janabah. What to do in case one is unable to use water? If a Muslim is unable to use water to perform wudu or take a ritual bath, ghusl, due to illness. When water is not readily available or when using the available water for wudu or ghusl would leave insufficient water for drinking, he can resort to pure earth as a substitute for ablution. This is called tayammum, and he can continue to do so until he finds sufficient water or becomes able to use it. Manner of performing tayammum. Manner of performing tayammum. 1. Strike both hands slightly on pure earth once. 2. Wipe the face with them. 3. Wipe the back of the right hand with the palm of the left. And then the back of the left hand with the palm of the right hand. How to make ghusl for major impurity. Question. How is major ablution, ghusl, done? There are differences of opinion in a number of madhabs, so who should I follow? How did the Messenger, blessings and peace of Allah be upon him, make minor and major ablutions? Answer. Praise be to Allah. Different madhabs, which one to follow? You do not have to follow a particular madhab. Rather you have to ask a scholar whom you trust, one who is famous among the people for his knowledge and virtue, then follow the religious rulings that he explains to you. It does not matter if there are differences of opinion among the scholars concerning religious matters, because this is something that Allah has willed by His wisdom. And the Muslim who is not able to work out the truth, Ishad, is only obliged to ask the scholars, and he does not have to do more than that. How to make wudu. In the answer to question number 11497, we have explained how to do wudu, ablution, for minor impurity in detail. Please refer to this question. Forms of ghusl. With regard to how to make a ghusl for major impurity, the answer is: there are two forms of ghusl. Acceptable form, in the sense that if a person sufficed with doing ghusl in this manner, his ghusl is valid and he becomes purified from major impurity. But if a person misses to perform this ghusl completely, his ghusl is not valid. Complete and preferred form, this is the type which it is mustahab to do but is not obligatory. How to make the acceptable form of ghusl? As for the obligatory and acceptable form, it is as follows. 1. Form the intention to purify oneself from impurity, janabah, impurity following sexual discharge, menses or nifas, postpartum bleeding. 2. Wash the entire body with water once, making sure that the water reaches the roots of the hair and the places that it cannot reach easily, such as the armpits and backs of the knees. As well as rinsing the mouth and nose, according to the correct scholarly opinion. Shaykh Ibn Uthaymin, may Allah have mercy on him, said in Al-Shar al-Mumti, 1423. The evidence that this ghusl is valid is the words of Allah, interpretation of the meaning. If you are in a state of janabah, i.e. after a sexual discharge, purify yourselves, bathe your whole body. Al-Ma'idah 5-6. Allah did not mention anything apart from that. If a person washes his entire body once, then it is true to say that he has purified himself. How to make the complete form of ghusl? As for the complete form, it is as follows. 1. Form the intention in the heart to purify oneself from major impurity, janabah, impurity following sexual discharge, menses or nifas, postpartum bleeding. 2. Then say Bismillah and wash the hands 3 times, then wash any dirt from the private part. 3. Then do wudu as for prayer, a complete wudu. 4. Then pour water over the head 3 times, and rub the hair so that the water reaches the roots of the hair. 5. Then wash the body, making sure that the water reaches all parts, starting with the right side of the body and then the left. And rubbing it with the hands so that the water reaches the entire body. The evidence for this mustahab form of ghusl is: Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, said, blessings and peace of Allah be upon him, did ghusl for janabah. He would wash his hands and do wudu as for prayer, then he would wash himself. Then he would run his fingers through his hair, then when he thought that it, the water, had reached his skin, he would pour water over it, the head, 3 times. Then he would wash the rest of his body. Narrated by Al-Bukhari, 248, and Muslim, 316. Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, also said, when the Messenger of Allah, blessings and peace of Allah be upon him, did ghusl from janabah, he would call for something like a vessel used for milking and take water in his palm. He started with the right side of his head, then the left, then he took water in both palms and poured it all over his head. Narrated by Al-Bukhari, 258, and Muslim, 318. Please see also the answer to question number 10790. One of the important rulings concerning this matter is that ghusl for major impurity takes the place of wudu, so the person who has done ghusl, whether the complete or the acceptable form, does not have to repeat wudu, unless he does something that invalidates purity whilst doing ghusl.